Welcome everybody out to podcast number 399. We're going to talk today about the difference between pushing and driving. Stay with us.
This is the Elevating Construction Podcast, delivering remarkable content for workers, leaders, and companies in construction wanting to take their next step. Get ready to step out of your comfort zone with Jason Schroeder as he encourages you to do better, live a remarkable life, and expect more. Let's go.
Welcome everybody. I hope you're doing well. I'm out here in the front of my house. What time is it? It's 4:17. It's going to be a beautiful day. I'm looking at some purple, orange, green, and red beautiful Halloween lights on my tree. Sitting next to a skeleton in my other front yard. Lots of pumpkins or chair, front yard chair. Got some pumpkins, some scary spooky things, a spider, some spider webs, and I've got bats hanging above me. Anyway, super fun. Hope you're all ready for the holidays. Anyway, I'm out here. I don't know if you can hear the crickets, but it's beautiful. Sometimes I love to just come out here and have a nice peaceful morning until somebody like me starts up a podcast and starts yammering. But anyway, so beautiful. And I'm ready to talk today. So on a podcast the other day, I was talking about building capacity and the difference between that and pushing. And so I realized there was a mistake in my philosophy there, that a lot of superintendents really connect with the concept of pushing, but I'd like to define that in two different ways, in the sense that the superintendents that really have drive and urgency aren't pushers, they're drivers. And I like the two little analogies there. So let me give you an analogy of pushing, if that's okay. So when you, actually, let me go back to a YouTube video. So if you look at the subway or the train stations in Japan, it's kind of funny some of the things that they do. They'll have guards there, or in some cases they'll have like attendees or guards, and people will just stack up in front of the train, and these guards will push them into that train and just like really jam pack everybody in there. And if you ever want to check out a really cool YouTube video, go ahead and type in Japanese attendees pushing people onto trains, or just, however you want to search that. It's really, really kind of funny. Now, I hope it's safe. I hope it's not unsafe, but it's true. It's like a real thing. When they push people on there, not only are they having a lot of really strenuous contact, but you're not really getting too much more bang for your buck, and you're cramming so many people in there. It can't be safe from just a personal space, a transmission of disease, an appropriate, like, hey, who's doing what situation, and then exiting the train. I don't even know if those trains are designed for the capacity there, but I really like the thought of that when pushing. Or if you have a bottleneck and you pretend like you have a bottle like on the side, or, I think I did this in the podcast the other day, no, it was on LinkedIn, imagining like a bakery bag that has frosting in it, or like a Tapatio bottle. Have you ever tried to push frosting, especially if it wasn't soft, through a small nozzle? I mean, it's a nightmare. I mean, that pushing, just imagine that pushing, okay? Then you talk about driving. Driving is where you're like actually at the wheel, focused, looking forward, going the right speed, and staying between the lines. You're staying in your lane. Now, when somebody's not driving, they're in the passenger seat, right? They're victims of circumstance. They're going at the pace of somebody else. They're not actively looking at the road. They're not actively looking at the parameters. They're literally just being brought. So I like the thought, you don't want to be a passenger on a project site. You do want to drive, but you don't want to push. So let me go back to the concepts that I talked about the other day and posted on LinkedIn. So when you're pushing, you're doing things like this: throwing manpower at the problem, throwing money at the problem, making workers work too fast and too long, working with unsafe and unclean conditions, working with too much dependency, not having enough time in the schedule, having too large or small batch sizes, meaning they're too large or they're too small, working in an improper sequence, moving start dates up without preparation, throwing materials at the problem, becoming frantic so you can prove to your boss that you're working hard. Those are all concepts of pushing, and they're only going to make you go slower. Now, building capacity, this is what I would call driving. And I had put a list here, removing roadblocks, installing it right the first time, right? We're between the lanes, we're paying attention to the road, we got our foot on the gas, we're going the right speed, and we're moving forward, right? Aligning and managing procurement, keeping a consistent rhythm, keeping it clean, safe, and organized, improving team health and stability, taking more time to prepare and make work ready, increasing communication, optimizing bottlenecks, and increasing flow. So I put in here building capacity, but you just as well could have put in here driving. You know, there's a sense of urgency that we absolutely have to have anywhere we go. And let me share with you one more little segment. And this is from the book Elevating Construction Superintendents, and this is step number 15, drive with urgency. And this is talking about a superintendent, but this could apply to anyone. A superintendent without a sense of urgency. Ooh, I wonder if that was a train. Oh, sorry about that noise in the background. Anyway, a superintendent without a sense of urgency is ineffective to the point of uselessness. Superintendents must keep pace with the project to finish on time. Superintendents are the timekeepers, the drivers, and the ones who keep everyone accountable to follow a certain rhythm on the project. Their role is to pull all aspects of the project into the dimension of time, and without that crucial awareness, a supervisor cannot excel. It is the superintendent's job to bring everything on the project into the aspect of time. As a director coaching a team, I remember when the team was 6 weeks behind schedule and were finishing concrete. The field director told us we needed to begin a swing shift for concrete crews and rod busters to pick up the time the very next day. Do you have any response from the team why they couldn't do this? The field director asked. If we decide now and implement tomorrow, it will be done. Then we will be on our way to picking up the rest of the time. After this suggestion, the team still did not exhibit the urgency to drive the situation, but rather focused more on their fears and apprehensions. On the field director's next visit, he had some choice but appropriate words for the project team when he said, "We're doing this tomorrow. What do you guys not understand?" As they started giving excuses, the local lead superintendent committed to get the ball rolling, and within 24 hours had rod busters on a crew of carpenters to come in at night with the appropriate rigging and equipment. The project projections immediately went from 6 weeks behind to 2 weeks behind, with the prospect of also getting back the additional 2 weeks. Success in warfare has never been associated with long waiting. The quote from General Patton is appropriate for this topic. A good plan violently executed today is better than a perfect plan executed next week. We must have a sense of urgency at work. There are things that we overthink, situations that we overanalyze, and plans that we try to overperfect in construction. This means that we frequently lose valuable time, losing days to save hours. Superintendents who have not found a sense of urgency and do not feel the responsibility to finish on time hinder the project in incalculable ways. These supervisors are among those who fail on their performance reviews, get stuck in their role, and are not ready for the next promotion. Immerse yourself in your schedule for at least 30 minutes every day. Everything brought to your attention by your trade partners and or others in meetings should be checked against your schedule to ensure you have the indispensable sense of urgency to get the work done on time. Also, practice coming out of the ground quickly on projects when you only have a few trades on site. Don't overthink and overanalyze unless it's very high risk. Get the consensus of the group once you have a good enough plan, and make sure you move forward with drive and urgency. Intentionally practice this on a continual basis. Become creative on how you can gain ground and move things forward as long as it doesn't interrupt the flow. For every question on site, ask if the situation is being given the appropriate amount of urgency. Most importantly, when the problem arises on site, do not delay fixing it. Do what needs to be done. Remove that person, add that other person to the conversation, order those materials, demolish the defective work, do whatever needs to be done, and do not wait. Expediency is associated with success in warfare and in construction. If you can properly learn how to instill a daily sense of urgency and passion and drive in your role, you will obtain success because you will not be hindered by the consequences of delay. You will have a balanced life and be effective as you supervise because things are not piling up and burning you out. You will finish projects earlier because you authoritatively and intelligently take advantage of certain situations which do not bring the project out of flow. You will gain time and contingencies on the project, and it will serve you later when mistakes arrive. You will be able to overcome and adapt. And that's the end of the section there. And I want to say that I like that part. I wrote the book, but I look back at it and I'm like, ooh, I like this author. A superintendent without a sense of urgency is ineffective to the point of uselessness. That is really just a 100% true point. When we have a sense of urgency, we are doing the right things at the right time. So going back to another post that was posted the other day on LinkedIn, let me see if I can get there quickly enough. Here we go. It was the 7, yep, I have it right here. 7 conditions for a sound activity, right? We need to make sure prior activities are planned. Construction design and information is ready. Materials and components are ready. Workers are prepared and trained. Equipment is maintained and prepared. Workspaces are made ready, cleaned, and they're safe. And that external conditions, approvals, and permissions are given. So when we drive with a sense of urgency, we're not pushing. We're not doing those silly things that I talked about just a minute ago, right? We're not doing the things that would cause the project to delay. We're actually doing the things that will prepare our work, those 7 conditions, right? So when somebody thinks about, going fast, they're like, oh, I'm going to push. I'm going to throw manpower, throw money at the problem, make workers go too fast, do out of sequence work, have things scheduled with not enough time, too large or too small of batch sizes, working in an improper sequence, moving start dates up. If somebody finishes on Thursday, I'm going to move the succeeding task up to Friday, right? Get them out of sequence and put them into a large amount of variation. Throw materials at the problem, becoming frantic. No, that's not what that means. What it means is that if the contractor finished on a Thursday, instead of moving that other contractor, the succeeding contractor up on a Friday, you will drive with urgency, meaning you will make sure that nobody takes that situation complacently. You will say, you will lead, you will drive, you will encourage, you will oversee, and you will ensure that this gets done, that the activities happening on Monday, that they have all of the conditions of satisfaction met to start that work, that they have their preparations, they have their layout, they have their information, they have their lift drawings, they have their quality meetings, they have their submittals approved, they have all of their materials stocked and staged and ready to go. The area is clean, contractors are out of there. So when I talk about driving with urgency, it's not pushing other people. I didn't say push. I didn't say cram everybody into that rail car. I didn't say cram that frosting through that nozzle onto that cake and push. I said create capacity. And creating capacity takes that drive, takes that urgency, because only the really true builders can get out there and see what needs to be done to prepare and create that capacity and do it on time. Here's the thing. Anybody can push when everybody's frantic and freaking out, but only the best can drive with urgency as a self-motivated system, meaning that somebody is a self-starter, self-motivated. They have that urgency intrinsically within themselves. They don't need somebody else. They don't need some external condition. They don't need some, emergency to go have that drive. I'm saying the best builders have that drive intrinsically, and they use that drive not for pushing, but for creating capacity. Meaning, let's make sure that we have that procurement log. Let's make sure we're finishing our systems. Let's make sure we're doing our daily correction systems. Let's make sure we have the drive and the urgency to stay within the lanes They keep driving forward with cleanliness, organization, and safety, that we're implementing zero tolerance, that we're grading contractors, that we're updating the schedule, that we're following our huddle systems, that we're following the quality process, that we're really having great, wonderful conversations with our last planners in the last planner system, making sure that work is prepared and that we're having more intelligent conversations. And so my point is this, and the other thing that I would say just really quickly is a lot of times, and I say this, great teams are built when they follow those 5 behaviors of trust, conflict, goal setting, accountability, and performance, that they have a strenuous performance goal that's magnetizing that team, right? And that you have a multiplier leader. Now, you need that goal for the team because everybody needs to follow that goal. But the leader, the great builders, will have that urgency intrinsically themselves. One of the most annoying things that's ever happened to me in my career, which I failed at doing until we corrected it, was we started creating tact plans and pre-construction with the project team, with the superintendent, and we got the team the right amount of time. And then certain teams, without a builder, without that drive and that urgency, they'd get complacent. They'd be like, oh, we got time. We can eat into the buffers. If you eat into all your buffers now, you're going to get into a crash landing anyway. So why did we go get all of this time just so we could waste it? And I think that's probably where some of our owners are coming from, is they're like, yeah, no, you want the 6 weeks? No, I'm not giving it to you. Just deal with it. And you're in this crash landing situation. And I think they do that because they want to know that people have a sense of urgency and drive. And so what we have to do in their current condition is we have to get out of the situation where people are victims and they are more like animals. They are things to be acted upon, and get them into the human victor mindset where they are things to act. They are humans that will act upon their circumstances and create stability. Right? And get out of the, I'm a victim, I am only shaped by my circumstances. I have to have an owner push me, and I'm going to use that urgency and drive to freak out. Like I said, we have to get from that to, I am a victor, I control the circumstances, I am not acted upon, I don't need some external force to make me have drive and urgency, and I'm going to drive the right way with preparation, with flow, and with capacity. So I definitely want to a little bit demonize the word pushing, and I want to enable and encourage the word drive. And I really just pray and wish and hope and encourage everybody to have that good amount of drive in life, because it really does a lot for us. And how we do one thing is how we do everything. There are times where we need to drive when we're relaxing, and there's times when we need to drive when we're at work, right? When I'm driving, relaxing, I'm in Hawaii, or I'm like on a vacation, or I'm having date night, right? Like, I've driven the circumstances and created the capacity and the stability to have my phone off and to be totally focused with my wife or doing whatever I'm doing. And when I'm driving at work, where we're encouraging and working with the team, we're encouraging and creating healthy environments. We got decorations up in the trailer. We got good, morale. We've got good teaming. We've got open office spaces. We've got great huddle systems. And there's this time clock, there's this beat on the rhythm, and there's this energy. And so that's probably the last thing that I would say is, when people drive with urgency, they do it with positive, wonderful, loving, and exciting energy. I mean, when it's like Disneyland, and when people push, it's coercive and negative and just destructive and stressful and icky. And so I would like to ask all of us to stop pushing and start driving with positive energy. On we go.
Please join us next time in elevating the entire construction experience for workers, leaders, and companies coast to coast. If you're enjoying the show, please feel free to share with your construction colleagues and help us spread the word by rating, subscribing, and leaving a review on your